have had unlimited questions.
If you will listen to me,
others have 3 questions.
No, Lantam,
and
you are taking a position on this matter. I am saying that.
I'm not taking a position.
I am saying that. I am saying
telling you the facts.
So because you have a right, that right is without boundaries.
But we've seen others do it in the past. We've seen others do it in the past.
So listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying that there are many other people on the committee. Okay? So everybody choose to ask 1,000 questions. Where are we going? Answer me, where are we going?
But everybody cannot ask 1,000 questions.
Exactly. So
everybody, it's only the ranking member.
And I'm saying that
if he wants to ask 1,000 questions, can't ask 1,000 questions.
How we ask the question?
You see, let's establish this, right? Let's establish this, right? Hold on. Let's establish. You may have your reservations, right? And a lot of people have expressed, the sentiments that you're expressing, that it's dragging. And there are a lot of unnecessary questions that are being asked, and it's a platform which is being used to settle political scores and all of that. But if we are going to be fair to facts, right? It's not the first time we are seeing things like this happen at appointments committee sittings.
Problem. You see what?
You remember Untaka Mubarak during the appointments committee? Then you remember Oforiatta going through 2 days of vetting. You remember, Harry Idrisu asking a lot of questions. So these things happen during appointments committee sittings.
Nobody is questioning that.
So it's not too much out of the ordinary.
Lantam.
Right?
You might see the question as silly. Others watching might not see it as silly.
But you may have, but you're entitled to have your reservations as to the relevance of the questions that are being asked. That one is your right. You're entitled to question it.
So if it's my right, and I mentioned it.
But I'm just trying to establish. No. I'm just trying to establish that it is not too out of the ordinary for a ranking member on our appointments committee to ask all the questions.
Let me be your host then.
That is it. I'm just putting it right.
I'm saying that there is nothing wrong in asking 100 questions. We are only of the view that if you even ask 10,000 questions and you ask questions that we think by the position the person was appointed to, we're not even getting what we want to get.
Define we. When you say we think, who's the we?
We.
You said we.
There are lots of Ghanaians who think that. I can answer that. There are lots of Ghanaians who think that.
Those of us,
but there are some who don't think that.
Yeah, but there are lots of Ghanaians who think that.
There are some who want to hear that type of questioning.
So let them speak for themselves.
No, there are some who want that type of questioning.
So for us,
you can't please everybody.
So he's speaking for those who think that the questions are
good. But what about those who also want to hear that?
Speak for them.
What about those who want to hear that?
I'm speaking for my people. Speak for yours. I'm saying that. So we really think that some of the questions would have been technical and direct to the area of expertise, the area for which we were appointed. We would rather give us the real vibe, if you ask me. But I am not interested in who you marry, who didn't marry. I am not interested in where you were born and where you were not born. I'm not interested in that. I want to see the drive, the reason for which you are coming to that ministry, what you bring on the table. That's what we should be looking out for. Imagine interview or vetting going on in the US and you're hearing this and it's live on CNN. I don't think they will waste their time on some.
But have you watched some of
they would have done?
Have you watched some of the Senate vettings recently?
Yes,
recently with Donald Trump's nominees. Have you watched some of their vetting and some of the questions that were being asked? No, but you made reference to it, so I'm also drawing your attention.
Good. You saw one.
Have you seen it?
You saw one event.
Is it?
You saw one event. I'm saying that these are about how many people were appointed? 60 or so. We are going to appoint 60. So far, not yet 60. And then you need time to work on this. Before an appointee, somebody is appointed, and the file is brought to you. National Security does their job. Criminal Investigation Department do their job, and everything. The person is cleared, sometimes even before they show up there, security-wise. That's why I'm saying that some of these questions would have been made available to you through the right channels. I mean,
the people don't know that. The people listening don't know all this.
Well, I think that I still maintain my position that some of the questions we think that would have been zeroed into the area of competence, area of your managerial expertise, area of vision and all that. For me, that is progressive. For how long are we going to be doing our democracy as though it is just a family affair? We need to move away from these personal sentiments, issues of whether, you once insulted my party, I want you to withdraw, I want you to set the record straight and all that. For me, I think that is not the focus. And that should not be the basis to judge whether the person has the competence or otherwise. How does asking me whether I'm married or not married, how many kids I have, determine my competence? What of that? Is the thing done in the name of marriage an error? Or is it a crime?
You know.
So for me, this is my focus. This is what I believe in. I think that we should be looking for a more progressive approach to some of these issues.
You know, it's interesting. I was watching the vetting of, is it Pete Hegseth?
You never back down.
In the US, right? And he was being asked questions about how he cheated on his wife.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you are privy to how he cheated on his wife and whether or not he cheated on his wife, his moral, character and moral right to occupy that position. He was being asked all kinds of questions.
But do you know why?
So, which is not too out of the ordinary from some of the things that we've seen on our own vetting committee.
This particular issue of interrogation as to whether you cheated on your wife and all that, it's a crime. For them, it's a crime. For them, it's a crime.
Cheating on your wife?
Yes.
It's not a crime.
Oh, not a crime in your country.
It's not a crime.
Not a crime in your country.
In the US, it's a crime to cheat on your wife.
It's not a crime. Many jurisdictions.
In the US, it's not a crime.
Not to have a girlfriend.
It's when you marry another person. To cheat on your wife, it's not a crime. It's a moral issue. But it's not a crime.
When they talked about the cheating, it was a public issue. Because at the time,
it's not a crime.
No, I'm saying that it was a public issue. And it's of concern to the US government. Your image is very important to them as well. So if they ask those
it's not the same.
For me, it's not a problem.
Okay, well.
If you cheat and you eventually marry the person, I didn't listen to the interview. That's what I'm saying. To some of them, that's a precursor.
All right. You're still watching GH Today on GHOne TV. Stay tuned. We'll take a short break and return. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. This is GH Today here on GHOne Television. Kwesi Kwating is here in the studio, member of the MPP. Wanda Madilo is here, and Mr. Kwame Jantwa is here as well. We'll move on to our next issue, but before we move on, Mr. Kwating, let me give you 2 minutes to make your final submission on this matter. Well, the appointments committee and the issues arising. Don't worry, 2 minutes. Don't worry, 2 minutes.
I mean, I don't want to compare. I've been advised to
2 minutes.
That the jury.
Your senior is here.
Yes, and the jury there is watching whether I'm being treated fairly.
So 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. And then we'll come to your.
Yes. The jury is watching. I know to be a strong man. So the jury is watching. So whether I'm being treated fairly.
So 2 minutes.
Okay, so I am of the view that you are unable to separate the culture of the people from the people. And so at every point, we must also understand that the character of a leader also reflects who the leader is. It is the more reason why when you are even appointing people into public offices, particularly even Supreme Court and other higher offices, even we lawyers, one of the requirements will have to be your moral character and proven integrity. So it is not entirely out of place when there are questions on people's moral character and proven integrity. People have made comments that even more or less indict the personality of other people. It is only proper that opportunities will be given to them to clarify. So for me, it is not a case that Mr. Afenyo is asking questions to settle in cause. Of course, it has more to do with an opportunity being offered them to clarify certain comments that they made, of course, for avoidance of doubt, so that we all be okay. And of course, Afenyo has become relevant on the committee also because the majority side are failing to be relevant and work. I watched a video where one of the minority MPs, apparently it was a woman, he said, "Hey, I don't have any questions. I wish you all the best." I'm not sure that's why she was put there. So if you fail to be relevant, if you fail to ask the necessary and the needed questions, that is supposed to clarify and get the best out of whoever has been nominated to serve the people of Ghana. Of course, we are there sitting there on partisan basis. But mind you, beyond the partisan considerations and the partisan representations, such responses are for the people of Ghana, the jury out there, to make a decision.
Right.
And so it is not out of place. And finally, he made a point about the fact that if you are taking a poll on Afenyo, we realize that a lot of people don't like a star. I call for that poll.
Well, there's actually been a poll by Global Info Analytics. I don't know if you've seen it, right?
Yeah, I've seen that. In extension, they should also call a poll on how Ghanaians feel about people who answered questions and said that their wives were taking care of them and that the only work they did in their life was photocopies, but they are able to rent in airport residential area, pay around $50,000.
Well, he didn't say he just did photocopies. That's not why
we know that is the only work he did. My only work
was under oath at the committee, and he talked about all the work that he has done.
Which work?
And some of the work he's even done outside the country, some of the teaching, teaching he has done, and all of that. You watch the vetting, you know what I'm talking about.
He worked when he became a member of parliament. Before he became a member of parliament, or when he became
even before becoming.
No, but I mean before. So within those 2 years that he, after his national service, that's why he worked. Before he became MP, that's why he worked in foreign countries and those things.
He answered those questions. Weren't those questions put to him?
I am saying that
you watched it.
I'm saying that those responses can come, but if it has more got to do with doing a poll, I have my own reservations about that. You have your own reservations. One that we obviously support because I mean they have to be mechanical about a support system. I know this man now, he's trying to be objective in this section, but let's assume that he may also have his own reservations. At the end of the day, if we are calling for a pool, the greater pool is in people who are hiding under the umbrella that their wives pay their school fees for their master's program while they travel, use business class, first class, and go travel to UK 9 times. We should organize a pool on some of these things and also get to know people's opinion.
All right, very well. Let's move on. Let's talk about education. But he wanted to provide some information. So 30 seconds.
So the bit about the US guy who was interviewed, he was interviewed on sexual assault.
Yeah.
Let's make the point clear. That is a crime.
What, Pete?
Not cheating. Yes.
No, but the issue of him cheating on his wife
let's get it straight, because I said that it was a crime.
Yeah.
And they wanted to find out. It was sexual assault. The question was directly on sexual assault.
Sexual assault.
You made it cheating. However,
but he was questioned on cheating on his wife.
US, about 18 states, adultery laws are still on their books. 18 of the states.
Yeah.
And even though it's a misdemeanor, but it's still a crime.
Anyway.
So please, let's take out your question.
Very well. Thank you for that.
I think somebody is the womanizer and is given a position. It's dangerous. It's
true. It is dangerous. It is dangerous.
Somebody is a drunkard. Drinks are.
We've all seen.
Who drink?
We've all seen what happened. We've all seen what happened to Balthazar.
Yes. Culture from the people.
You know, yeah. So, Kwesi, let's stay on this. What do you make of the 7-member committee which is supposed to, organize the National Education Forum and the terms of reference that have been given to them? You are coming from the education sector. What do you make of it? Let's start with you on that.
The way that I just understand that it looks like he's already predicting what I'm going to say. But
not in your mind.
I'm going to disappoint you. Well, I am of the view that in terms of the optics is good for them as a government, especially when it appears to be more of consensus building. I don't think it's out of place, because even when we were also in government, we used to have what you call the Education Week, National Education Week.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are even occasions where you guys were around, where we invite all stakeholders, mostly review the work we've done within the year in section or in question. Then we also review our works and then get more of stakeholder input. So I don't think it's really out of place. It's something that, even beyond the fact that they've set up a committee like this, even internally at the Ministry of Education, there is such a system like that. I will not necessarily rebuke or gag against any person who sets up a committee with the whole aim of getting everybody on board, and then, for lack of better words, reviewing maybe certain programs and initiatives. Generally, I'm not against that, because it shows that people want to build consensus or what have you. But I am particularly concerned the rate at which these committees are springing up. You see, when you are coming into office, particularly when you are from the opposition, you campaign based on certain policies and ideas. You campaign that you are going to introduce, let's say, remove double track, scrap nursing training allowance, teacher training allowance, which they've hinted that they are going to, if you read a graphic front page. All those ideas. So the question is that it is a case that when you were making those promises, you did not have an idea of what was pertaining within the sector, or those promises were made without situating it in the proper context. But I will assume that it's all part of the internal governance processes that Mr. Haruna does. He's somebody that I really like and respect. So I'm very measured when it comes to matters that borders on him as a lead. But I am also mindful of the fact that it looks like the committees are becoming too many. And we should not use the committees, or we should not substitute the work that is ahead for the setting up of committees, and that is what I'm sensing. It looks like almost everywhere now there are committees: review committee, education committee, energy days committee, and of course, it's also important that we also know the terms of the committees, because there has been precedents where committees have used their platforms to abuse and even cause more financial loss to the state. Phase 2. So they cannot come and pretend as though they are going to start all over. They should get to work.
But they did indicate that they are going to have a national dialogue on education to look at reforms in the education sector. It's something that they mentioned that within the first 120 days.
You see, is it not the more reason why
pursuance to fulfilling that?
Is it not the more reason why I really be modest about criticism? But my concern is that it's almost becoming too many. It's almost becoming too repetitive. The committees. Yes, they should get to work. Nobody's saying they shouldn't dialogue, but in as much as they want to dialogue, they should also get to work. They should not use the dialogue as an excuse from honoring the promises, where they come out from the dialogue and say, we promise this, but this is the reality. Of course, in the political environment that we are, the expectation of, even though I'm not prejudicial of when it's going to come from the dialogue, the expectation is that, well, after the dialogue, we realize that there are more schools under trees. We realize that the feeding at the free SHS level, these are challenges which have been systemic within the education sector. And if you move even beyond the education sector, if you take every sector by sector health, those challenges are there. It's not new to us. If you ask why Nkrumah was overthrown, they will mention the systemic challenges. I mean, Mr. CPP man is here. He's my uncle. If you have a name, histories or the ministers were too many. Mr. Muhammad didn't need a dialogue. He just made a decision born out of leadership that, look, the excesses may be too much. For me, I am taking a very pragmatic approach. I'm going to appoint no more than 60 minutes. Of course, I know that at the end of the day, their party people are not going to be happy. My own friend Titi Katola had not had an appointment. I don't know about Wonder if he had an appointment. But if he had, I'm not sure he'll be sitting here this morning. Have you had an appointment? Why? We're advocating for his friend.
Mr. Mahama said a lot of people are going to be disappointed. He's on record to have said.
Yes. So I mean, that's what I'm saying, that people are going to be disappointed. But I mean, the general outlook and impression for the state is that, well, it's positive. He didn't need committees to do that. So if he indeed wants to work, the committees and the dialogues and the conferences are getting too many.
Okay.
And if you are not very careful, we use the whole 1 year, in as much as we believe in consensus building as a government of committees and conferences and dialogues.
But a committee, doesn't that speak to the willingness of the government to want to listen? You know,
is it on the
people? Because one of the things that your government was accused of is not listening.
I mean, let me put it this way. With time, I mean, growing up, I'm not very old, but with time, I came to know that Mr. Nkrumah was vindicated. With time, I came to know that Mr. Rollins was vindicated, Professor Mills was vindicated, and even with Mohammed's election, President Mohammed's re-election, also is another hallmark of vindication. So let's leave everything to
posterity.
Time. Posterity will judge all of us.
All right.
But I mean, having said that, it is also fair and important, and of course, as a way of respect to also Ghanaians and our party people, that, I mean, there were some things that genuinely, as a party, we admitted that we could have done better. But we'll go back to them, we'll have a discussion with them, judge with them, and hope that we are able to also reignite that base. Maybe when you have the opportunity to come once again, we'll listen so well. But in as much as we are saying that we should listen and build consensus, does not also mean that we should use that as an excuse or an umbrella to run away from the real work. The real work is there.
All right, Wonder.
You spoke about food.
Let me bring you in, Wonder.
I am particularly excited. You know, policy formulation is not only the view of a select few. And so, and by the time you arrived, you know, at the end, you would have carried everybody along. Why the need for some of these committees is that, first and foremost, it's in our campaign, you know, promise that we would have a national education dialogue, we would have an economic dialogue. All that is in the manifesto. So we are not running away from the manifesto promises we have made at all, not once. But what we seek to do this time around with some of these committees, and some of them have very limited time to show workings, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, that's it. So we are very much aware of the exigency of the time and how quick some of these things should get rolling. And then also to cure ourselves of the challenge the MPP found themselves in while in government, which is that they were accused of not listening to the people. Some of their policies were okay, but because, you know, it didn't come from the base and it didn't resonate with the people, you know, nobody appreciated it. For instance, the Agenda 111, for instance, I really think that if the MPP had listened to Ghanaians, they wouldn't have gone that much and end up not doing, you know, people not appreciating all that they have done in that area. Indeed, a couple of ones they have been able to put up. But what was their need at the time? People were crying about jobs, people were crying about, you know, daily bread, people were crying about security, people were crying about many other issues. Perhaps if they had channeled their energy to some of these issues, the economy may not even have been where we are. So we are guided by their challenges while in office, while trying to steer the affairs of this country as quickly as possible. I am very much you know, excited for the caliber of people that are in some of these committees. It will afford everybody the chance to have a proper way going forward. And one of their thematic areas is that they should draft a national education broader scale of what government wants to do. I think that this drafting an education policy will be very good to us. You know, as we speak right now, there's a lot of disorganization in the educational shape and form, if you ask me. In one batch, some batches of students are doing different set of programs. Another batch is doing some trials on STEM education and all that. I think that a more holistic framework will help. Yes, he has been at the education ministry. I have been realigned again to write exams at the same time. Realigned again to write exams at the same time they write it. Can we weed out, they write it? Can we weed out, what we call the shift system, the e-block that will see the numbers without the spaces available. So all this will address, this committee's work will address issues of quantity,